This is Season 7 of the Team Roping Journal's podcast, The Score, the show that started it all in the whole podcasting game in team roping and rodeo. At 3 million downloads and counting, this is where team ropers talk, from our weekly short score episodes to the longer sit-down conversations that we get to have that dive deep into the personalities, producers, and horses that inspire the sport. This is where team ropers get their must-know information. Hey everyone, this is Chelsea. Welcome to a bonus episode of The Score. This is an episode with Solo Select horses on their October yearling sale, yearling and mixed sale that is. It's October 13th, 2024 from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Central Daylight Time. It's happening in 3 days from this recording. It's a Sunday, all day Sunday. You can watch on the app. You can bid online, whether you have an iPhone or an Android. There's apps for both of those. And then, of course, you can bid online at bid.theselectonline.com. Melanie and I are going to preview plenty of the horses in the sale, from the yearlings, the cool crosses, things you've got to see, even if you're just kind of interested in what's doing what in the horse economy. There's lots of cool crosses that you can just watch and see what's selling. And that is all at bid.theselectonline.com. But first, we're going to talk about the new Solo Select Stallion Incentive that they released last week. The Solo Select Stallion Incentive is an easy to understand way to get into the rope horse business. If you are looking to start breeding, looking at one of the Solo Stallions makes it really easy to be eligible for a lot of money. We will talk about that, and you can read more at soloselecthorses.com. Okay, Mel, good morning. It's been 1 week since you all announced the Solo Select Stallion Incentive. How has the feedback been?
I think it's been really good. We've had a ton of calls and people wanting to book to these studs, and I think this is the push that kind of finalized a lot of people's decisions on what direction they were going next year. And the response has been really good. These stallion owners have essentially selflessly given up some of their money, which they already do in so many incentives this year, to try and give back to the people that believe in these stallions. And so, it's exciting from our standpoint that all of our stallion owners are willing to go back and invest in this industry, whether you figure it as the horses, the breeders, or the owners, or the trainers. And we're proud of them and proud to have this incentive put together that has been funded by these stallion owners. Like, they are showing that they're committed to these horses' success.
And so give us the breakdown. How did you guys come up with this incentive, and how's it going to work?
I think this has been in the talk for probably a year now, and our goal was just to have something that was pretty simple for our mare owners, and we had to be a little bit creative because we do have a relatively young roster of stallions, so we couldn't necessarily do one that was only based off of offspring that exist right now, because essentially we would have just had an incentive for a handful of these young horses that have 4-year-olds, and would it be tough? And so we decided to make this incentive where it's 2 phases. Phase 1 is going to begin in 2025, and it'll run through 2029. And all you have to do to enter this 4-year-old futurity is buy a breeding to a Solo Select Stallion for each entry. So if you want to enter 2 horses on the head side next year at the 4-year-old futurity, which will be at Clay Logan's roping in the fall, then you just buy 2 breedings and you're eligible to enter. Essentially what we did was we made phase 2 of this in 2030. It is based on the sire of the foal. So these people that are breeding in 2025 are going to get to double dip in this incentive. In year 1, they're able to enter any horse, essentially like a proxy. They can enter any horse as long as they bought a breeding. In addition to that, these foals that they're breeding that will be 4-year-olds in 2030, they are going to be able to show at that 4-year-old futurity exclusively. So that incentive will flip in 2030 where it's only for foals by these stallions. So not only do they get the advantage of being able to ride that colt as a 4-year-old, if that's what they choose, when they go to sell them as a weanling or a yearling or an embryo or whatever age it is, when a buyer stacks this horse up next to another one that's by a stallion that's not in our incentive, it's easy for them to say, well, do you want to buy the one that is eligible to rope for hopefully $500,000 plus by 2030? Or do you want to buy the one that doesn't have that opportunity? So I think it rewards all of the people involved in these foals. The trainers, the breeders, and the owners all have a chance to have an advantage by breeding to these stallions here. And that's really what we wanted. If you guys want to ride with us and be on this team, we want to make sure that it's good for you guys throughout the lifetime of your horse. And whether you're a breeder or seller or trainer, it's good for you.
And these stallions are not just exclusive to your incentive. These stallions this is an added bonus for these horses. So you might be eligible by 2030 to compete for $500,000 in this incentive, but then you'll have the metallic attacks that are paid up into everything. You've got the notorious BIGs that are in everything.
Yes, absolutely. All of these owners, when we released that we were going to have a stallion station, it's always about the horses. But for Ty and I, it was more about the owners and really picking out owners that were really committed to having stallions that were promoted correctly and in all of these great incentives on top of being great horses. And so when we have sifted through and chosen the stallions and the owners that we've chosen to work with, it's been based off of horses that were successful, but also are in incentives that benefit the mare owners. And so, we have, like you said, you have bigs that's in every incentive that there is. And Southern ranches, you never know what they're going to do and when they're going to put more money up for those horses. Like, they are super committed to that horse and his babies and making sure that it's good for the mare owners. And then you have a horse like Metallic's MVP that was just so incredibly successful in the cutting pen and the animal. Both of those horses had so much success in the cutting pen, and those owners, even though those horses are breeding a lot of cutting horse mares, they're committed to making sure if a roper wants to breed to them, that those horses have that diversification in their incentives to have winners and horses that are eligible to win a lot of money in that side of the world too. So I think it's kind of cool that we have such a diverse stallion lineup with some more stallions coming probably that are going to be, winners in other disciplines. And those people, they're not short-sighted to think that we only have to target a cutting horse person or a racehorse mare owner or whatever. They understand that those stallions can be sires across multiple disciplines now. And I think that's really the beauty of how the stallion world has evolved.
Yeah, and your stallion lineup, I'm looking at the list right now, is super diverse. Like, you've got Chic Gene Fly that is complete. Chic is I don't want to say polar opposite and mean it in a negative way, but he's so different than Time to Glow or the Animal or Plain Caddy. Yeah. It's how did you build that group of horses other than the owners? When you're obviously, I know you spent a lot of time making sure that there were good people involved, but talk about the lineup of horses.
Well, I think at Solo, we have always been really diversified in everything we've done, whether you talk about the mares that Ty and I have bred for the last couple of years, or you talk about our customer base that's full of people that have, cutting horse mares that have produced over $1 million, or, coming up some of these racehorse mares that are big time horses, and the rope horse mares and all of that. And so it just felt natural that when we started to build the stallion lineup, that we also didn't just zone in on only cutting horses or only rope horses or only barrel horses. We have such a diverse group of people that follow us and ride with the brand that we wanted to make sure we could serve all of them. And I think we've done that with this group of horses.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of diversity, we the other thing we wanted to talk about was your sale that's coming up that has it's one of your yearling sales are your big hitters, correct?
They are. This fall is we really focus on our sales during the fall, and last year was our first yearling sale in October. This year, it's even bigger. It's even better. We do have some riding horses and some stallions that I'm sure we'll get into a little later, but we've got about 80 yearlings in this sale, and I think it's an exceptional group of horses. And just like you said, when you talk about diversification, this is it. We've got We've got cow horses in here that I think are absolutely open caliber, open finalists, prospects. We've got cutters that are the same way out of big time mares. And then there's a lot of really cool bred, I shouldn't say rope horse bred, but horses that were specifically bred to be rope horses is probably the right way to put that. We strategically crossed studs on mares with the intentions of them going to the team roping or the calf roping world. So I think that's kind of cool. This is probably our first year of a true full crop of those horses that we bred to go that way. And then of course we have like I said, our ones in here that are bred to be cutters or cow horses that could go any direction.
Yeah, we saw the Stevies dominated at the Riata Buckle. What are some Stevie highlights? Do you have any?
We have a Stevie out of a Woody Be Tough mare, which I think everybody's pretty excited to see how these Woody mares produce. We've seen a handful of them that have been producers so far. There's just not a lot of those mares out there that are, at the age where they would have old enough progeny to hit, but the ones that have, they've been very successful. So we consistently have people call looking for Woody Be Tough daughters that we feel are going to be really good at crosses. So we do have a Stevie out of a Woody mare that Chris Littlefield put in. That mare's been a producer already, and he's a big, strong colt. We have a Sorrel Stevie colt that Moncrief's put in that is out of My Boots Are Tough, who's a great Woody Be Tough mare. And then we've also got Clinton Anderson's 3-year-old Stevie Ray Vaughan filly that he is showing at the Cow Horse Futurity right now. It's absolutely beautiful. That's out of an Abra mare. So we've got 4 Stevie yearlings, and then we also have an embryo by Stevie out of Shiner's Tough Chick, which is one of our favorite resident mares. She's a Shiner's Voodoo Doctor that's out of a Woody Be Tough daughter. So we've got a lot of Woody Be Tough influence on the maternal side of our group of Stevies in here, and I think we're going to see that work really well.
Very cool. And speaking of embryos, there's some other pretty cool embryos in there.
So there is there's a Kilo or Pride and Joy embryo in here out of Metallic Cat. Metallic Cat was an AQHA Open World Champion herself in the heading. That mare's babies are beautiful, big, strong. This is the first time we've crossed her with Kilo, so that'll be the first one of that cross. So I'm pretty excited to see that. This year, 2025, will be the first year that we get to see the Kilo baby. So we're obviously excited about that. We have a CR Gotcha covered embryo out of Copperish, who is one of Lloyd Cox's great mares. She won $281,000 and she's produced $243,000. But I think this crew of listeners will really like that mare. She is the dam of Copperton, which is the horse that Joseph has won so much on. He won the futurity up at Utah that Reggie and Ren and all of them won that the other day. That's just been a really consistent, great heel horse for Joseph. He's won $160,000 so far. So this will be a CR Gotcha covered out of his mother. We've got some other Stevie embryos in there and a Bad Buddha Rising out of Shiner's Tough Chick that we talked about earlier. And then we also have some frozen embryos, which has worked really well for a lot of our customers. We've got 3 Woody Be Toughs out of Metallic Cat and 3 highbrow cats out of Arc Ruby Plagunya. Those embryos are, if you're a gambler, people that like to gamble love those because you have a chance to get 3 babies on the ground from those. And our customers that have bought those have had a lot of success over the last couple of years doing that. We'd be happy to help anybody that's interested in it get those embryos put in next year and talk you guys through the process. But that's worked really well for our people.
And you have a lot of... There's Dirty Flings. There's Show Me the Buckles in here. Dirty Fling was one that you owned in partnership with Trevor and Miles that Miles and Trevor both showed. And so this is going to be not the first time, but one of the first times that there's like a large offering of Dirty Fling yearlings.
Yeah, the Fling yearlings have been really nice. Maria that does all the fitting, we've gotten really good feedback from her on these. There's a couple really pretty ones. That horse himself is beautiful. I'm sure a lot of people have seen him up at Lazy E, but we've got one that is probably one of my favorites in the sale. She's a Dirty Fling out of a PYC Painter Wagon mare that Ty and I bred. Her name is Dirty Deed, and I don't know if they make fillies as pretty as her. I mean, she's just absolutely gorgeous and a beautiful mover in the round pen. And we've got another one that's out of apolitical Jess bred mare that we bred with Miles and Trevor and have raised. It's a yearling, and she's beautiful too. So if the way these ones look and work in the round pen is any indication of how they're going to be as performance horses, I think we're going to see a lot of great things, because they really are an outstanding group. And I think anybody that's come and seen them has been very impressed with them so far. And then we've got a lot of colts in here by Woody too. These Woody Be Tough yearlings are the first crop of Woodies that we would have as owners of him. So, we bought him at the end of 2021. So these yearlings kind of represent our commitment to making that horse continue to be a producer. And so the one we've had a lot of calls on from the rope horse world has been, there's a Woody Be Tough out of a SG Frozen Enterprise mare. It's a dun colt, and he's just the picture of a horse. He's absolutely beautiful. He's correct in every way. He's big and strong, and he is what people breed to Woody Be Tough for. He is exactly what we were trying to get. We're really proud of him. Luke Holland bred him, and we're really proud to have him in the sale. And so I think that colt's going to do good and do big things. And then got a real pretty filly out of Queen, which is a pale-faced out of mare that is real fancy, and a black Woody Be Tough colt out of a Shining Spark mare. We could talk for an hour about the maternal side of all of these. We've got one out of a World's Greatest Horseman champion. That's a 2-year-old filly. We've got a couple out of Carrera Cat. It's been one of the most consistent producers we've had right now. I think we've got 2 fillies out of her. So there's just some really good Woody colts in here, colts and fillies, and we're proud of this group and excited to see what this next generation Would It Be Toughs do.
Now, not to be super basic as a Betty Barrel racer, or half-retired Betty Barrel racer, but I think it's super rude that you didn't ever show me aerodynamic or call me and let me know about aerodynamic. Like, I know the internet probably all love, like, I'm not alone in thinking he's adorable, but tell me about that horse.
So we have a little, he's not little actually at all. We have a colt that's big, but his name is Aerodynamic, and he's gone a little bit viral on Facebook. Everybody loves him. He lost the tips of his ears as a baby, so he's got a unique look to him, I guess would be the right way to put it. And he's absolutely adorable. But he's not only cute, he's actually out of a really great mare. Her name was Sign of Passion, or is Sign of Passion. She's still alive, but she was a mare that Latricia Duke trained originally, and then Tiffany Case ran, and for Judd Little. We bought her out of Judd Little's dispersal sale, and we're able to get some embryos by Metallic Attack out of her in Frozen. And that mare won. She Equistats 98,000, which I think is really impressive for a mare at her age, because most of those mares Equistated nothing. It was just so hard to keep track of their earnings. Judd said he thought she had 150,000 plus in earnings, and it's probably closer to 250. Like that mare, every time I talk to somebody about her, they just said she was just a winner. She went to the NFR. She could really, really run. And we've got a couple colts out of the sale out of her, but this is one of them. So the Metallic Attacks we have in training are really doing well. We have one out of Kilo's mother that will hit the rope horse futurities next year. That's an absolutely outstanding colt. We've had one with Wes Ashlock out all year that we'll cut on next year. So we're invested in that horse, and we're going to continue to breed them to really good mares and make sure they get in the right programs. And, I think when people go and look the Metallic Attacks we've produced and see their ability and all of the traits that they have, I think that they're going to see why we're so committed to that horse. We really believe in him as a sire. And we talked about incentive eligibility. That horse is, all of these yearlings that are in here are going to be eligible for pink buckle, ruby buckle, riata buckle, all of the buckles, incentives across every discipline. So there's plenty of money up for grabs if you buy one of them.
One thing that if somebody hasn't looked at your sales before and hasn't peruse through your catalog, talk about your name. Can you tell the secrets to your naming of horses?
I used to love, the secret is really that me and Cody in the office keep this top secret list of notes that are super private on our phone, that we, when we hear a song or hear something that ticks our interest, we try to write it down right then and add it to our name list. And then we come up with all these fun names for these horses. And so I think it might be Cody's favorite part of her job in the office is naming yearlings. And so we all kind of collaborate to come up with these names. We have a lot of fun with it.
Do you ever send one off to AQHA and know that you're like on thin ice or gambling? Like
100%. Yeah. We get declined. Don't worry. They definitely give us the stamp of not approved on some of these, but
Yeah, I understand. And then in the riding horses, what do you have? What are the highlights in the horses that are not yearlings?
So we have we've got a couple of really cool horses, really. One is Maisie Cat. This is a 4-year-old stallion that's already won 40,000 in the Reign Cow Horse, and he's an outstanding individual. Clayton Edsall's had him in training. He's out of a dual-ray mare. Just a really nice open caliber cow horse. We've got a black blindsided filly that's real pretty. We've got Clinton Anderson's 3-year-old futurity horse. I think it's kind of a cool opportunity. Clinton would love to keep him in training if somebody's wanting to jump into the cow horse world, or, she could sure go to the rope horse pen, but she's a really nice cow horse mare. She's out of an Avra daughter. She's beautiful if they go look at the pictures of her. We've got a Woody B. Tough out of the World's Greatest Horseman champion, Metallic Cat Rose, and several show horses for the cutting. There's a big 3-year-old Pepto Boots home mare that would be an outstanding head horse. She's probably 15 hands or bigger now. She's huge. And so there's a little something for everybody. If you don't want to wait on having a yearling, I think that there's plenty of riding horses to choose from this one that are eligible for all of the rope horse incentives and incentives in all of the other disciplines as well.
Absolutely. And then there's there's a few 3-in-1 packages. And
there are a few 3-in-1 packages. So we've got a dual smart ray mare that won 120,000 herself. And what we've done is we've put these mares that I'm going to talk to you guys about with breedings to any of our studs next year. So we call those 3-in-1 packages, which means you're going to get the mare, you're going to get the baby in her belly, and you're going to get a breeding next year. Back to your choice of stallions that we have. In all of these, the stallions we included were Metallic Attack, which I think if you're listening to this, you probably know who he is. We've got Plain Caddy, who was the Snaffle Bet Futurity champion, relatively new to our stallion roster. Metellus Cat, who is also new to our stallion roster. Metellus Cat was an NCHA world champion. He won over 400,000 in his career. He's produced several million already. He's an NCHA or 2-time world champion. Great horse for the value. And then This Cat Shines is the other option on that, and that's Palomino Roan stud that we have here by WR, This Cat Smart. So we're including all of those in there, and then we've also got a really pretty red roan Segala Ray mare that has been being shown that we're going to sell with a breeding to the animal that is Cindy's horse. So I think that's a 2-in-1 package on that one, but it's another one for anybody that's wanting one to breed and ride. That one would be a cool addition to their program as well.
Very cool. Yeah, that'll be fun. Now, is there anything that we've missed on your sale? Like, this is a huge sale.
I don't think so. The only thing we really haven't, there's a lot going on over here. The only thing we really haven't touched on is our new product line. I think you and I have talked about it a little bit.
Yeah.
As I'm scrolling on here on the sale, I've got it linked in here, but we, Caleb Turlip and I have been, and our team here at Solo have been trying to design some slinkies for the last a long time, really, and have gone back and forth trying to create the perfect one that will last and is durable. And I think we've got it honed in pretty good. And so we put these slinkies up last week, just the first product of this product line, and we sold the first shipment out in 3 days. And so they aren't going to ship until the end of October or early November, but we've got the product line coming on. And so all of that is linked in the sale. And we're excited for people to start getting those and see how they like them. I think they're going to love them.
Well, and that actually brings up an important point about the sale that I don't know that people realize. There's a lot of online sales that horses are kind of scattered all over the country, and you have to arrange shipping all over the country. Your horses, I mean, you guys have created this line of slinkies because fitting horses on site is mandatory for your sales.
It is. Our sale is a little different that way. All of the horses in our sale have to be on site. They all come here. We do all of our work on them here as far as pictures, videos, x-rays. And that's kind of a win-win for our buyers and sellers. It keeps our sellers out of a bind and our buyers out of a bind because they know exactly what they're getting. There's no questions. Our vet goes through and puts anything that's questionable on the vet reports. We put heights, weights, front and back end pictures. I argue to tell people that I think they get more information from me on this online sale than they get in an in-person sale a lot of times. And so, we've done it that way from the beginning, and it's because we want people to buy with confidence. And it's not because it's an easier way to do it, because I can promise you that my team will tell you that we do it the hard way, and kudos to them because they're the ones behind the scenes that get all of this information up and make sure it's accurate and presentable for our buyers. But we want people to get on here and buy with confidence, and that's been our mantra from day one. And it's something we've stayed strong with, where people really can get on here and know exactly what they're going to take home.
Very good. Well, thanks, Mel. I appreciate it.
Yes, thanks, Chelsea. And I will see you guys at the rope horse maturity next week.
Oh, gosh. Yep, that's coming in hot. Okay.
It's here.
All right. Thanks, thank you. Thank you all for listening. Thank you to Solo Select for always coming to us to let us help promote all of the amazing things that you guys are doing in Gainesville and Whitesboro, Texas. There is a whole lot happening in Solo Select land, and we are happy to spread the news.